The worst part about sitting at Thanksgiving dinner with my entire family wasn't the insults. It wasn't my cousin asking if I'd finally gotten a real job. It wasn't even my aunt holding her nose when I walked in, pretending I smelled like trash. The worst part was that 6 months later, when my brother-in-law stood in my living room begging for $50,000, I had to decide whether to show him my bank statement or let him keep thinking I was worthless. I showed him. The look on his face made every insult worth it. Let me back up. My name's not important. What matters is what I do for a living. I'm a sanitation worker, a garbage collector. 3 years ago, when I started this job at 23, I thought my family would be proud. My dad worked construction his whole life, broke his back at 54. My mom cleaned houses until her knees gave out. They taught me that honest work was honorable work. My extended family didn't see it that way. The first family gathering after I started, my cousin Penelope, fresh out of college with a marketing degree and a job at a startup, looked at me across the dinner table with this practiced sympathy in her eyes. So, you're still doing the garbage thing? Is that just temporary until you figure out what you really want to do? The table went quiet. I felt my dad's hand tighten on his fork. It's what I really want to do, I said. My Uncle Jeffrey laughed. Actually laughed. Come on, sweetie. Nobody wants to pick up trash. It's okay to admit you're struggling. We've all been there. Except they hadn't. Jeffrey owned 3 car dealerships. Penelope's dad was a surgeon. My Aunt Constance married a hedge fund manager. At that table, I was the only one who'd ever done manual labor, except for my parents, who everyone conveniently forgot about when these conversations started. Over the next 2 years, it became a pattern. Every holiday, every birthday party, every wedding. My cousin Wesley, the lawyer. Still hauling garbage? Have you thought about going back to school? My sister-in-law Fiona, every single time. You know, my husband could get you an interview at his firm. Just administrative work, but at least you'd be inside. My Aunt Constance, loudly, after 3 glasses of wine. I just don't understand how you can be satisfied with such a low-ambition life. Don't you want more for yourself? The thing is, I did want more. That's exactly why I took the job. But I never explained. I'd just smile and change the subject. My mom would squeeze my hand under the table. My dad would glare at anyone who pushed too hard. But I could see it wearing on them too. The constant defense of their daughter's failed career. Last Thanksgiving was the breaking point. I walked into my Aunt Constance's house at 4:47 p.m., still in my work uniform because I'd been on shift until 4. I hadn't had time to go home and change. The moment I stepped through the door, my aunt actually backed up. Oh, honey, couldn't you have showered? She wrinkled her nose. The smell. I'd showered that morning. I smelled like industrial soap from work. Nothing offensive. But she made a show of opening windows, spraying air freshener. My Uncle Jeffrey handed me a garbage bag, as a joke, suggesting I might feel more comfortable if I had my work tools with me. Everyone laughed. Well, almost everyone. Dinner was worse. They sat me at the far end of the table, next to the kids' card table. When my cousin Penelope talked about her promotion, senior marketing associate, $85,000 a year plus bonuses, everyone applauded. My aunt turned to me, that same pitying look in her eyes. And how's your job going? The emphasis on job made it clear she didn't consider it one. It's going well, I said. Well, at least you're working, my Uncle Jeffrey offered, like he was congratulating a child for trying their best. That's more than some people can say, even if it's not exactly prestigious. My brother-in-law Felix, married to my sister, father of 2, Mr. Successful Finance Guy, leaned back in his chair. He'd been quiet until then, but I could see him calculating, deciding whether to join in or defend me. He joined in. "You know what I don't get?" Felix said, his voice carrying across the table. "Why didn't you at least try for something better? You're not stupid. You graduated high school. You could have gone to community college, gotten a certificate in something. Instead, you're picking up other people's trash for, what, $30,000 a year?" My throat tightened. The number was wrong, but I didn't correct him. "It's honest work," my dad said quietly. Sure, Felix waved his hand. "But let's be real. It's not exactly setting her up for success. What happens when she wants to buy a house, get married, have kids? Who's going to want to date a garbage woman?" The table erupted in uncomfortable laughter. My sister didn't say anything. She looked down at her plate, her face red. I stood up. My hands were shaking, but I kept my voice steady. "I need some air." I spent the rest of dinner outside. After that Thanksgiving, I stopped going to family events. Christmas, I told them I had to work. On New Year's, I said I was sick. My parents understood. They'd seen enough. Then, 6 months later, on a Tuesday morning at 11:23 a.m., my phone rang. Felix. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hey." His voice was strained, not his usual confident, slightly condescending tone. "Do you have a minute?" "I'm at work," I said, which was true. I was on my route, truck idling. Right. Listen, I need to talk to you about something. In person. Can I come by tonight?" The desperation in his voice surprised me. "What's this about?" A long pause. "I'll explain tonight. Please, it's important." He showed up at my apartment at 7:15 p.m., looking worse than I'd ever seen him. His suit was wrinkled, his tie loose, his hair uncombed. The Felix I knew was always immaculate. "Can I come in?" I let him in. He sat on my couch, my cheap second-hand couch that I'd bought for $100 on Craigslist, and put his head in his hands. "I made a mistake," he said. "A big one." I waited. "I invested in this opportunity. A friend's startup. Supposed to be guaranteed returns. I put in $75,000. Our savings. Money we were going to use for the kids' college fund, for the mortgage." My stomach dropped. "Felix." "It was a scam. All of it. The money's gone." He looked up at me, his eyes red. "Your sister doesn't know yet. If I don't replace that money before she finds out, if I can't make the mortgage payment next month, we could lose everything." He took a breath. "I need to borrow $50,000. The number hung in the air between us. $50,000. More than he thought I made in 2 years. "You need $50,000. I repeated slowly. I know it's a lot. But I'll pay you back, I swear. With interest. I just need it now. Before your sister finds out. Before we miss the mortgage payment. I've asked everyone else. The bank won't give me a loan. My parents are tapped out helping my brother. Your uncle said no." "Uncle Jeffrey said no?" "The man with 3 car dealerships." He said I needed to learn responsibility. That was my problem to solve. Felix's voice broke. "You're my last option. Please. I know we haven't always... I know I've said things, but this is for your sister, for your nieces. Please." He was begging. The man who'd mocked me for picking up garbage was sitting in my cheap apartment, begging me for $50,000. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt tired. "Why would you think I have $50,000? I asked. Felix blinked. "I don't think you have it. I'm asking if you could maybe co-sign a loan, or ask your parents, or..." You think I'd have to ask my parents for money? Well, yeah, on your salary. I walked to my bedroom. I opened my laptop, pulled up my bank account, walked back, and turned the screen toward him. His eyes went wide. The main checking account showed $47,329.42. I scrolled down to my savings account. $203,847.67. Then my investment account. $384,293.19. What the? Felix's voice was barely a whisper. How? My salary isn't $30,000, I said quietly. It starts at $45,000 base. With overtime, benefits, and hazard pay, I make about $72,000 a year, plus bonuses. His mouth opened, closed. The city has excellent benefits. Full health coverage, dental, vision, pension that'll pay out 80% of my highest salary when I retire. They matched my 401k contributions 6% from day one. I sat down across from him. Want to know the best part? No student loans. While Penelope was borrowing $80,000 to get her marketing degree, I was getting paid to train. While Wesley was drowning in law school debt, I was saving 40% of every paycheck. Felix stared at the screen like it might disappear. 3 years, I continued. 3 years of living cheap, driving the same old car, wearing thrift store clothes outside of work. 3 years of everyone assuming I was poor and stupid and going nowhere. I pulled up my investment portfolio, showed him the breakdown. Index funds, municipal bonds, a high-yield savings account earning 4.5% interest. I've been maxing out my Roth IRA every year, contributing 15% to my 401k. I paid cash for this apartment. Well, the landlord thinks I'm renting, but I bought the building last year, bought it outright. I'm my own landlord now. His face had gone pale. The garbage route I work? It's in the wealthiest neighborhood in the city. You wouldn't believe what rich people throw away. Last month, I found a working MacBook in someone's trash, just because it was 2 years old. Designer clothes with tags still on. Furniture worth thousands. You take things from the garbage? The city allows it. There's a whole resale market. I clean things up, sell them online. That's another $15,000 to $20,000 a year, tax-free side income. I leaned back, watched him process everything. So, yes, Felix, I could loan you $50,000. I could write you a check right now. It wouldn't even dent my savings. Hope flashed across his face. But I'm not going to. Please, Felix started, but I held up my hand. Every family gathering for 3 years, you've made me feel like garbage. Not just you, all of them. Penelope with her condescending questions. Wesley with his offers to help me. Uncle Jeffrey laughing at my job. Aunt Constance sprayed air freshener when I walked in the door. We were just joking. You told me no one would want to date a garbage woman at Thanksgiving, in front of everyone. His face reddened. You asked why I didn't try for something better, like I'd just given up on life. You said I was making $30,000 a year, which was insulting, by the way, because you never even bothered to ask what I actually earned. You just assumed. I'm sorry, You made my mom cry, I said quietly. After last Thanksgiving, I found her in the bathroom, crying, because her own family treats her daughter like a failure. My dad got so angry, he didn't speak to Jeffrey for 3 months. Felix looked down at his hands. Here's what's going to happen, I said. I'm going to offer you a deal. I'll give you $25,000. Not a loan, a gift. Enough to make your mortgage payment, buy you some time to figure things out. His head snapped up. Really? On one condition. I pulled out my phone. opened the voice recorder app. "You're going to call a family meeting this Sunday. You're going to tell everyone exactly what happened. The scam, the lost money, how you came begging to me. You're going to explain what I actually earn, what my benefits are, what my net worth is. And you're going to apologize. On the record. In front of everyone who's ever made fun of my job." Felix stared at the phone like it was a snake. That's humiliating. "Yes," I said. "It is. I'll lose all credibility with your family, with my in-laws. Probably." His jaw clenched. I could see him calculating, weighing his pride against his desperation. Seconds ticked by. "What if I say no?" he finally asked. "Then you leave. You figure out another solution. You tell my sister what happened and face the consequences. Your choice." More silence. The refrigerator hummed. A car alarm went off outside. "And if I do this?" Felix asked quietly. "You'll give me $25,000? I'll have my lawyer draw up papers. The money's yours by Monday. No strings attached after that." He looked at the phone again. The bank statement is still glowing on my laptop screen. At me. "Okay," he whispered. "Okay, I'll do it." I hit a record. That Sunday, I walked into Uncle Jeffrey's house at 2:47 p.m. The whole family was there. They'd been told it was an emergency meeting about family finances. Aunt Constance looked annoyed at having her Sunday interrupted. Penelope kept checking her phone. Wesley showed up still in his golf clothes. My parents sat together on the love seat, confused, but there because I'd asked them to come. Felix stood at the front of the living room, sweating. My sister sat beside him, clearly worried. "Thank you all for coming," Felix started. His voice shook. "I need to tell you something." For the next 10 minutes, he explained everything. The investment scam. They lost $75,000. The begging tour he'd done through the family, asking for loans. Uncle Jeffrey's refusal. "And then," Felix said, his voice barely audible, "I asked her." He pointed at me. The room erupted. "You asked her?" Penelope said incredulously. "For what, like $100? "For $50,000, Felix said. Stunned silence. "I asked the garbage woman, the family member we've all spent 3 years mocking, for $50,000. Because I thought she'd be desperate enough to help, or stupid enough not to understand the amount, or I don't know." My Aunt Constance laughed nervously. "But obviously she couldn't." "She could," Felix interrupted. "She showed me her bank accounts. She has over $500,000 in liquid assets." You could have heard a pin drop. "That's not possible," Uncle Jeffrey said flatly. I pulled out my laptop. I opened it, turned it around so they could all see. For once in 3 years, my family had nothing to say. I watched them stare at the numbers, watched the calculations happening behind their eyes, watched them realize that the person they'd pitied, mocked, and dismissed had been quietly building wealth while they'd been building debt and maintaining appearances. "I'm giving Felix $25,000, I said into the silence. Not because he deserves it, because my sister and my nieces don't deserve to suffer for his mistakes. I closed the laptop. But I'm done with this family. Done with the jokes, the pity, the constant suggestions that I'm wasting my life. I have a job I'm good at. I'm financially stable. I'm happy. And I don't need your approval anymore." I stood up. "Oh, and Aunt Constance? That air freshener you sprayed last Thanksgiving? $12.99 at Target. I picked up 6 bottles of it from someone's trash last week. Still sealed. I'll drop them off if you're running low. I walked to my parents, kissed each of them on the cheek. I'll see you both next week for dinner. Just us. And I left. My phone blew up that night. Texts, calls, voicemails, apologies, justifications, anger, congratulations. I didn't respond to any of them. Except one. My dad texted, "I always knew my girl was smart. Proud of you. Love you." I texted back, "I learned from the best. Love you too." Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's being so successful that their insults become compliments they didn't know they were giving. They called me a garbage woman. They were right. I just happened to be a garbage woman with a $500,000 net worth, no debt, and the best benefits package in the city. And honestly, I wouldn't change a thing.